Guys, welcome back to the channel. Guys, today, inshallah, we will start our next tutorial after Bootstrap 5 that is called the CSS. And CSS intro, in last video, I already explained it to you that what is CSS and why we use the CSS and what's the importance of the CSS. By the way, I'm just recapping CSS one more time that CSS is a language we use to style an HTML document. Okay, and CSS also describes how HTML elements should be displayed, like font size, font color, background, transparent, okay, margins, padding, these all things. Okay, this tutorial, inshallah, I will teach you CSS from basics to advanced. So let's start doing in the code that how we do the things in code and how we apply. So in this tutorial, guys, I will use the CSS type that is called the externally CSS. I will externally link the CSS. Okay, so I will tell you later that what is the external, internal, and inline CSS. I explained this in HTML tutorials as well, but I will explain it later to you that what is the internal, what is the external, and what is the inline styling. Let's say I want to do here, I just need a doc type. Okay, first of all, I need to declare the HTML. So once I declare the HTML, I need to write HTML. Okay, all syntax is clear. Here I am just assigning a title that CSS tutorials. Okay, tutorials. Sorry. Yes, I assigned the CSS tutorials in this one. Now I need to give the external, I want to externally link the CSS file. So what I need to do in the head section, you just define the tag link. Once you define the tag link, presses. Now here you need to give the href of your style sheet name. As I created this style sheet, name is style.css. We remember the style sheet always extension have CSS. So I'm just adding it here, style.css. Now my file, I when I write the style in this file, it automatically applies on this front page, okay, on this web page. So I externally link, this is how you link the external CSS. Now I just want to add something. Let me write, I'm just writing in H3 like CSS tutorials for beginners, okay, for beginners. So here what I have written that CSS tutorials for beginners. Here I also want to define the paragraph tag, p tag as well. Here I am just writing that CSS uh, CSS is the most popular language for front end. Okay, for front end, as we are making the front end. Yeah, here I define that CSS tag is the most popular language for front end. Now I want to give the style that how I want this style. Okay, I want to give the style for this color. Okay, I want to give the style for this paragraph. So how I need simply in CSS just give as I define the h1 h tag, sorry, I defined the heading tag that is h3. In h3 I assigned, let me check, I declared, yes, I declared h3. So here h3 and start with the brackets. Now you need to give the color, margin, it's your own choice, whatever you want. Let's say I'm giving the color. Let's say color I am giving you the red color I want to show here. Okay, next thing, once I define the color, I need to give the font family. Okay, let's say font family I am giving you the sans serif, serif font. Then I need to give, what is it called, font color, let's say yeah, font display. Okay, or let's say font size. I'm giving the 20 pixels. Now the style I here I give the style for heading h3. I also want to give the styles for h for paragraph. So here we just put the p. Yeah, here paragraph, for paragraph, what type of color I need. So here I define the color. Let's say you want, let's pink. So hot pink I am giving you here. I'm assigning here color. Let's say font family. Here in this case I want the cursive. Okay, So I also need font size same. Let's say this font size I'm quite in a big. Okay. So here I define the color font family for H2 and B1. So this is externally taken. Now see what will happen in the browser. Let me refresh the page to let me give the page to you. Why this is not working? Give me a minute. I just want to check what's the problem occurs here. I need to check it again because I defined it before. I just want to remove this one. And sorry, here I defined. So in styling, I also need to check what's now see what will happen in the browser. Yeah, it's still not working. So what we need to do, as I externally connected successfully, why this is not working, not sure. Let me one thing I want to do. I'm just removing or deleting this style file. I just want to make another file. Maybe there's a cache error. Oh, sorry, cache error or whatsoever. Let me. I'm just giving a making a new file that is called. I'm just saving the file with style one. Let's say I'm giving you style one dot css. So here I'm externally assigning. So once I defined here, now here I just want to change that is this is not now style, this is style one. Okay. So I externally linked successfully. Now I need to give the colors for heading h3. So once I defined here, I want to give the color, let's say red. Okay, and I want to give the font family that is called the serif and serif. So here I want to give the font, what is it called? Font size. Okay. Font size, let's say I'm giving you the 20 pixels for this one. Now I need to give the style for p tag as well. Same the color we have, let's say dark blue color. Okay. Font family, let's say I want to give the cursive. Okay. Then I want to give the font size as well. So fonts, let's say here I'm taking 30 pixels. So here I define the color. Now let's see what will happen in the browser. Yes, as you can see now it's working. What is it now? How is it working? Because actually sometimes the cache may be full, the browser is not supporting or not working. So you need to delete the file or you need to rename the file. So here, as you see, my H3 heading is this size. Okay, this for this color, and my CSS heading, sorry, my paragraph is now contain the dark blue color and like so. So if I want to change the colors as well, you can. Let me move it here. So what we need to do, let's say here you want, what is it called? Not dark blue. You say the color will be pink. So you also take the color pink as well from here and here. Let's say you want the color green instead of red. So green, yeah, green color. Now what I need to do, I need to check it in the browser, will it work or not. Now as you see, both colors are different. This is a green color and this is a pink color. Okay, so this is how you externally link the CSS. Now we are doing some more amazing things with the CSS. Let's say you want to give the color, what is it called, the background color. So what you need to do in the body, right? We remember whenever you are giving the background color, you need to define the body, and in one side body, you need to give the background color. Let's say background color, I need to give that is called the dark. Okay, let's say dark, this one, I am assigning. Now let's see what will happen in the browser. Will it work or not? Let me refresh. As you see, this one, now this color is in background. So this is how you add the background color in the CSS. Same like we have other options as well in the style that you can style. Okay, font size, you also text align. Very important property in the CSS is that how you align text align. Okay, let's say I just want that this the text I have written is displayed in the center. So just assign the property text align center. for this one. And same if you want, let's say you want this text aligned in left side, or sorry, right side. So just assign the property right. Then let's see what the result will appear. As you see, one is in the middle. This one is in the middle. This one, CSS tutorial, and this one is on the right side. You also want to make both in center or both in left sides as well. So this is how your style sheet works. Then we are moving to the next one, that is called uh, what is it called? Introduction. I already assigned you and I already explained in the last class that why we use the CSS, because CSS is used to define styles for your web pages, including the design, layout, and variations in display for different devices and screen sizes. One more thing, that CSS solved a big problem. HTML was never intended to contain tags for formatting a web page. So HTML was created the content of a web page, like the heading, like the paragraph, like the div. Okay, these ones. When tags like font and color attributes were added into the HTML version, let's so I think 3.1 or 3.2 version when it was released, it started a nightmare for web developers. Okay, development of large websites where fonts and color informations were added to every single page becomes a long and expensive process. So solve this problem, the worldwide construct W3C created the CSS. Okay, and CSS removed the style formatting from the HTML pages. Okay, we will discuss what is the W3C later. So CSS saves a lot of work. The style definitions are normally saved in the external CSS files as I created. Okay, with the external style sheet, you can change the look of the entire website by changing just one file, not at all code. So now moving to CSS syntax. CSS syntax. So I need to move back to my browser. Sorry, I need to move back to my editor, and I'm telling you what is the CSS syntax. A CSS rule consists of a selector and a declaration box. Okay, CSS consists of a selector and a declaration box. What is the selector? This one, H3 and P1 is the selector. Why this is a selector? Because you select this one because you want to style this one tag. That's why this is a selector. You select and p tag. So this is how you select. Okay, this is called the selector. Same like we have the other selectors like um, a- for instance, we have let's consider that H3 and P are the selectors, and then we have some more things inside the selector. We have some things. We have what is it called? Property. Then we have the value. Okay, property and the value inside the selector. Let I am just taking H3 as a selector and P as a selector. So inside this selector, we have property. This color is called the property. This font family is called the property. Font size is called the property. Text align is called the property. But what color you need? Green. What font family you need? What font size you need? What type of text align you need? This is all called the value. Okay, so if I just average for this one, that what is the H1 simple? H1 is simple called selector. Okay, H2, all type of headings and paragraphs are the selectors, because selector you want to select, okay, in which you want to select that element to give the styling. This is called the selector. So inside selector, we have this curly braces, and in curly braces, we have the property. We have the property, and property contain the value. Okay, property contain the value, like I did. Property is the color and I assigned the value green. Okay, same like the property is the font size and I assigned it 20 pixel. So this one is the selector. Selector I will discuss. Okay, the selector points to the HTML element you want to style. Okay, as I told you that select, what is the meaning of the select? The selector points to the HTML element you want to style. And the declaration block, this is basically the color and property value, this one. Let me here, this color and green. This is declaration block, contains one or more declarations separated by a semicolon. Let's say here I need to, what is it called? Okay, here let's say I defined font family as as you see, I separated with a semicolon. Let's say I want to make this in single line, so you can also here it's also works. Okay, same like here, you always need to separate it with a semicolon. Now see, this property will also work. Okay, as I just remove, let's show you. As you see, now it's still working. Okay, so if you want to write in the new line, you can. If you want to write in the same line, then just separated each property and value, sorry, each declaration box with a semicolon. Okay, so the declaration box I explained before, that declaration box contain one or more declarations separated by semicolons, as it contain multiple declaration: font family declaration, font size declaration, text align declaration. Okay, same like each declaration includes a CSS property and a value. As you see, this font family is a declaration and it's contain the value. Font family is called the property. Same like font size is called the property and it have a 20 value. Same like text align is the property and it have a value center. Okay, so this is what simple CSS syntax, that how you create what is the basic CSS, what is called CSS syntax. Now I need to define, now I want to explain the CSS selectors. What is the CSS selectors? A CSS selector selects the HTML element you want to start. Now here I will explain what are the CSS selectors. CSS selectors are used to find, okay, used to find or use to select the HTML element you want to start. Okay, we can divide CSS selectors into 5 type of categories. Okay, we have 5 type of selectors. I'm just writing it here. We have 5 type of selectors. Okay, we have simple selectors. Okay, we have simple selectors. And simple selectors contains name, ID, class, that I will explain later. Then we have the combinator selector, combinator. Then we have the pseudo class selector. I'm not writing it here. Pseudo class selector, pseudo element selector, and the attribute selector. So simple selector, what's the purpose of the simple selector? Simple selector selects element based on the name, ID, and class. And combinator selector selects element based on a specific relationship between them, while pseudo class selector selects element based on a certain state, and pseudo element selector selects and style a part of an element. And the last one, attribute selector selects element based on attribute or attribute value. So CSS element selector. First, I want to explain the CSS element selector. We remember this heading 1 and this paragraph 1, these are called the element select. Okay, because I select an element in HTML. In HTML section, if I want to switch the file to here one, this actually inside the body, these are called the elements. Inside the body, these are the tags h3 p3, but they are also called the element selectors. As I select this p1 because I want to give the style for this p tag, so this is the element selector. Then we have the ID selector. What is the purpose of the ID? We remember we have simple selector, element selector, sorry, element selector, we have the class selector, and we have the ID selector. Both are different things. We remember ID is always unique. Okay, what is the meaning for this one? I will explain in this code. Okay, let's say I am ID. First of all, I am using the ID selector, then I will use the class selector. What is the ID selector? ID means that let's say you have multiple paragraphs. I'm just writing it here. Let's say it contains be wait for a minute. I just want, okay, let's say here I'm writing this shit. Okay, we have, let's say, another thing, we have multiple paragraphs. Okay, we are here one, I explain. Okay, contain multiple graphs, same like in heading we have multiple headings. Let's see. Here I just find this one. Then you need to define the h2 as well. Multiple headings I assigned. We just want to explain that how the ID selector works. Okay, let's say you want that you give the style for this h3. You want the color for this h3, let's say red. Okay, you want the color for this h3 red, but for this heading h1 you want to give the color, let's say green. Okay, and same like for this h2, h2 you want to give the color black. But in element selector, if in element selector in element selector, if you just select the paragraph, okay, let me show in the code this one. Let's say now the paragraph is the element selector. Okay, what will happen in the browser? As I select this p, okay, I give the style for p, so it will apply all the styles, okay, in the given file. Okay, it will apply, okay, it will apply all paragraph tags, okay, mentioned in the file. Let's say this all one, sorry, heading I am explaining. This heading, let's say this heading contains color green font family, this one, let's say all. So this color, font family and font size and text align will apply all on this heading tags. Okay, on heading tags. Let's say here I am just changing. This one is also h3, because yeah, here h3, yeah, here h3 also, and here h3 also. Now, when you apply H3 styles on all this one, so once you define here, as you see H3, you define the color green, font family, this one, font size. So it will apply all on the headings. Okay, it will apply the same color on all headings. But let I am showing you, okay, how it will apply. Now you see, yes, as you see the text I have written, okay, here one, this one is called a color green. As you see color green, this one, so these are the three headings I defined, three headings. So it will apply the same color, but what I want that this color is green, the second one is red, and this one is, let's say, purple. So how I give, okay, how I assign that colors, I want the separate colors instead of the same. So what I need to do, okay, if you want a separate color for each heading, you want a separate color, you need to give the ID. Okay, because I told you ID is the unique, so you need to give ID to everyone. Let's say here I am giving the ID for this one, let's say demo. Okay, I give the ID for this H3 now, demo. So once I give the ID to that one, you need to give the style for that one also. Now this is now separated. Okay, this is not including in simple heading. Okay, it's now separate. So be remember, when you want to give the style for the ID, you use the hash that ID name, and remaining syntax are same. Now you need to give the color separately. Let's say you need to give the color black, and you need the font family. Let's say what is called Verdana. This one. This I assigned to that heading. Now see, only one color will change. As you see, this black colors only change because I give the ID. If you want to change this green also, okay, you say that one is green and the second one, or you say you change the color for all one. So you need to assign the ID for that one. Okay, if you want to change this color, you need to give the ID. ID equals to you. Be remember, ID must be unique. Okay, you need to give the new name. Okay, let's say ID I am giving you here. Let's say id equals to, I now I want to give demo1. So once I define demo1, I need to give the style here, dash demo1. Okay, so once I define, let's say I want the color, let's say red. So now it will apply. You will see the result in this browser. As you see, it's apply here. Okay, this is why we use this ID selector. I told you, you want that your headings look like different from each one. Okay, your heading, let's say you say that the font size for this one is, let's say, 26 pixels, but fonts for this second one you want to give the font size 10 pixels. So for everyone, okay, the every heading which you need to change, okay, you need to give the ID. Okay, without ID the style will not work. If you not give the ID, then by default the paragraph selector, okay, will apply the default heading. As you see, I have not assigned the ID for this green one, so you see this heading is applying here. As you see, this heading tag which I defined color green, this one, font family. So once I define the ID for this one, this color will also change. By default, if you say that your all your headings have a same color and have a same font size, so you do not need to give the ID. You just define select that selector and define the color or property for that one. So this is how your ID selector works. Now we have the class selector. Okay, the class selector selects HTML element with a specific class attribute. Okay, to select an element with a specific class, write a period. You need to write a period characters followed by a class name. Let's say class one use. Now, the reason for this one, let's say you want, yes, okay. Let's say you want, what is, yeah, here I am on code. Let's say now I want to give the class instead of ID. ID is unique, but the only difference between the ID and the class is that ID is different, but class is same. Let's say you want to give the same style for this one. Okay. You want to give both styles same. Okay. So you need to define the class. Okay. Instead for ID. Okay, because ID is unique. The only difference between class and ID is that ID is unique for every element, but the class will be same. You can give the multiple classes to the same selector. So the same for that. Okay, now you need to give the class. So class here I'm giving you as I put, let's say demo. Okay, so you use the same name here as well. Okay, let's say, yeah, class equals to demo. Now in demo, the style which I defined, let's say now by default, this style will apply here because the class name I told you class, you can use the same class name with multiple elements. Okay, so be remember the class you always represent with dot that one. Okay, it represents class and ID represents hash. Now you see by default which style will apply. As you see by default black. Okay, sorry, by default I set the class I assigned it to you that contains the black property. Let's say I am just changing. Now I do not want the black one. I just want the dark orange. Let's say I want. So yeah, here one. As you see the dark orange. Okay, so what's the class? You can use the same class in multiple fields. So this helps you. Let's say you are making a website and you have multiple, let's say, paragraphs, and you say that let's say you have, let's say, 10 paragraphs in your website, and you say that 5 paragraphs have the dark orange color and rest of the 5 have, let's say, black color. So if you want to select the p selector only, so it will apply by default. But if you want that these 5 colors different from these 5 colors, so you need to give the class. Okay, so once you need to give the class this name, let's say here you define ABC, let's say ID, sorry, yeah, as class equals to, let's say, that name. So same class you apply in this one and same class you apply for this one. Here you need to change this name because you want to give the colors for this section is different. Okay, so you need to give the only name different here, and here the rest of the name is the same. But if you use the ID selector, then what's the purpose? This here the name is different, same line in second line the ID different, here ID different, here ID, every ID is different. Okay, but the class helps you that you can use the same class name in multiple selectors you want to give the style. So this is the difference between the style and sorry, the ID selector and the class selector. Hope so this concept is clear to you. Okay, I am one time I am more explaining that ID selectors. We remember the ID selector uses the ID attribute, okay, of an HTML elements to select a specific element. Okay, the ID of an element is unique within a page, so the ID selector is used to select one unique item. Okay, you do not select the multiple, let's say, attribute in one ID. Okay, to select an HTML element with a specific ID, you need to define, as I have written, hash with the hash character followed by the ID of element. And same, and we remember one thing more I forgot, that ID name cannot start with a number. Okay? It doesn't start with a number. Same like the class selector, I told you that the class selector selects HTML element with a specific class. Okay, and it is representing with a period that is called a dot character followed by the class name. So these two selectors we discussed, so three selectors we discussed, and what is called the element selector. Then we discuss the ID selector, and now we discuss the class selector. Same like we have the universal selector, we have the grouping selector, but we'll discuss that one in next tutorial. Guys, if you like this tutorial, kindly do like, subscribe, and share. Meet you in next video. Take care.